What is up, Midtown Youth Fam, gang, gang, gang? I am here with some wonderful, lovely friends I call family. See what I did there? See what I did there?
No doubt.
Friends I call family. Yo, so Pastor G, we are live 11 a.m. right now on YouTube. That's right, we're taking over. It's YouTube. You like that, right? I know. So parents, students watching, whether in Sacramento or not, welcome to the family. Welcome to the conversation. By the way, you can get connected to stay connected because we're not just about content. We're about community. So welcome to the family discussion. And with me here today, we have the Shortt family that is actually extremely tall, and I am short. So I'm just going to say my spiritual adopted parents, the Shortt family, apparently. Thank you guys for loving me all these years. No, we have Casey and Brannon Shortt. Welcome to the family. Go ahead and say hi to the Midtown Youth family, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi, everybody.
How you guys doing? Great to be with you.
Woo woo. So if you're excited, go ahead and drop in the chat right now. Throw the hands up, throw that little fire, or whatever you want. If you have a question throughout the conversation, go ahead and throw it down there. If you're looking to connect with us in some way, shape, or form, mom or dad, we'd love to meet you as well.
Yeah.
Go ahead and hit the link that they're dropping in right now. Click on it, answer the questions. It takes what, Paige, a minute and a half? If that, right? And maybe even less. And I just do it for fun sometimes because why not?
Right.
Just fill out a form,
Why
right?
not?
Why not? Thank you. She's so good at validating. It's so good. So affirming. And so what we're going to do is we're continuing our conversation. Look, this last Wednesday, we had Mr. Turner, the Will Burner, Captain Turner, talk about healing and open a discussion of the mystery of healing. All right, guys? So it's funny because we act like it's this mystical thing that we have to wishfully hope for, or it's like it's under this rock and we have to find it. And like, where did God hide the healing? Where did God hide the healing? Or we have to act, you know what I mean? And it's like, no. There's different forms of that, different steps. You are a professional in the game of healing on a certain sense. Yeah. You are too. It's funny. God brought you together. You're married. You're a force to be reckoned with.
Man.
So to pass it on really quick, introduce yourself, tell them what you do, and let's start there.
Sounds good. Well, I'm Casey Shortt. I'm married to that guy over there.
Yeah.
What?
Lucky you.
Sorry, Gil. Really cracked you up there.
Welcome.
Lucky me.
He's
real.
like, sweet.
Yes. True that.
And on that note, I have my master's in clinical psychology. I am practicing as a therapist right now, and I'm finishing up my final year of my PhD in clinical psychology. So I am not yet a psychologist, but am very close to it and so grateful for the experiences that I've had along the way.
Man, and we're excited that people like you who are willing to sacrifice all the things you do to get to where you need to be, because here's why. Family, we need each other, and we're going to find out about that. So we have this, and I'm just going to address it that way, this professional in the room, which I love.
Yeah.
And I just want to debunk something to parents out there.
Yeah.
Just because people are pastors, we don't claim to be professionals at anything other than like pursuing God, loving people, walking them through next steps. Now, are we learners and leaders? Yes. Here's what's cool about this. The family of God is vast and wide.
No doubt.
And each one of us plays a part in that. So thank you for your pursuit. But my brother from another mother, okay? Thank you so much for your pursuit and your sacrifice and your journey. You are a pastor here, part of the Bayside family. Yeah. What do you do? Yeah. Tell them.
That's great. One, Casey's going to always downplay Casey. Casey didn't mention all the years.
And that's why I passed it to the hubby, Casey.
She didn't talk about being in the hospital system. She didn't mention being on the front line. She didn't mention working with kids and adults with trauma. No, Casey is amazing. She also didn't mention being very theologically educated also.
See?
She's always going to downplay it. Casey's a legend. I get the honor of being married to Casey.
Boom.
We got married when we were 21.
Okay.
Which I wouldn't recommend to anybody, but I realized I wouldn't recommend that to anybody. Every parent out there is like, yeah, my kid gets married at 21, Listen, but I had to lock it down, Gil.
Hey, I believe you, bro.
It, man.
I get it, bro.
If Casey realized there was better options in every fathomable direction.
You shot, bro.
I shot the shot.
Okay, there you go.
Hey, it worked.
It worked.
So amens on both sides. I hope you guys are learning a lot so far. Yes.
So I've been a pastor for the last 7 years. It's been a blast. It's been in SoCal the last 5. Been up in Sacramento about the last year and a half with Bayside, one of the senior campus pastors around here. What that honestly looks like is just popping around, being everywhere, being a part of a little bit of everything.
It's true.
And then making some candles and rapping on the side.
I know. And sometimes you wrap candles, but
sometimes I wrap candles.
So I'm just saying, sometimes he verbally raps, and other times he wraps candles and goodies. You guys are super creative, and you're super loving and caring. So once again, I just want to brag on people I care about. I care about these persons, these people for many reasons. One's your family. That's easy. Two, you actually are truly committed to what God's called you to. And I think that's a rare thing. So family, grab your shovels because we're about to dive in. And this is how we're going to do that. Ooh. You just heard both of our friends here today, both of our family members today are in the pursuit on a journey of being excellent in the work of health and care for others and also self. So we're going to dive into both of those. So Casey, we're going to start with you. What is it you are seeing? Obviously, I mean, many reasons. I wasn't going to list them. Okay, Brannon, but I'll just start with her instead. What are you seeing in this current season? What hurting people are going through? Or at least the ones that are willing to share or getting help as well. I mean, you know, there's some that aren't saying things and we're like, oh man, how can we help? But what are you seeing, sis?
So that is a loaded question. I think that's just like multi-layered. Because I think on the one hand, just as a blanket statement, we're seeing increased levels of anxiety and depression. We're seeing increased stressors in the lives of individuals. And we're also seeing a lot of loss. And so it's just so much grief and loss. But then on top of that, I think problems that were already existed are uncovered by a crisis. So that's on an individual mental health level, that's in a family level, that's also on a systemic level where we see mental health issues are maybe more prevalent amongst certain people groups where there is a large disparity in healthcare or access to resources or access to means. And so it's a very complicated issue. You have this overarching pandemic that's taken away people's coping skills, it's taken away their access to friends, maybe access to family, access to a normal life rhythm that keeps us healthy. And maybe none of us realized our life rhythm kept us healthy until it was taken away. So I think it's a very complicated issue that has left many people suffering, truly struggling from ages of childhood up until the elderly age range. I don't think anybody has not been touched by the massive storm of this pandemic. And so practically as mental health professionals, what we're seeing is that there are waiting lists for every level of care. And so some people are having trouble getting connected to care just because many mental health professionals are all full right now because there's such a great need.
And you said a few things that, I mean, and I said a few, meaning like a long list of really good stuff. One of the things that popped out to me is you brought the blanket over it that I think a lot of people are afraid to talk about or identify with, is that we're all hurting. And I think we kind of go like, well, we kind of, and in the society we live in, we often are entertained by those who are maybe hurting more than us, so we feel better about ourselves, which is very interesting. But the other thing you said is that in crisis, what was hidden or what maybe was lacked of awareness pop up. How do you encourage people? What's a good first step for people when that happens? Okay, a lot of stuff's going on. I'm seeing this. I'm feeling this. What do you recommend they do?
I would say it depends on what's popping up for the person. And so at the very base level, we know that our mind, our body, our soul, we're all connected. We're embodied human beings. And so our physical health.
You mean they're not separate?
They're not
separate.
It's like together.
They're not compartmentalized things.
No, they're not compartmentalized things. So we know that like our physical health impacts our mental health and vice versa. And our spiritual health is the deepest parts of us that we carry into every realm of our life. And so with that in mind, I think if you're noticing yourself feeling deeply sad or anxious or worried, or you're just grieving, because there's so many different difficult emotions that could be coming up for people right now, maybe the first line of defense is to just assess in your life, like, how am I doing? How are my relationships? How is my sense of meaning and purpose? How is my relationship with God? How is my physical health? Am I taking care of myself? And then based on that assessment, starting to build out a self-care plan. And I think of self-care as like almost like an action of worship. When we practice self-care, it's an acknowledgement that we are not God, we are limited. Therefore, because we are not God, we must steward the resources that God has given us. Resources like energy, time, physical health. But apart from that like
that was dope, by the way. Please. No, go.
You mean all of that should actually be offered to God?
I mean, I'm just saying.
Energy and time and resource and relationship.
And don't you guys think the word energy gets a bad rep nowadays? Like, and because when things happen or we're not feeling right, something's off, our energy is zapped, it's tapped, and it's taken away. So it's like, when you don't have it in your tank, you can't use the right and proper energies for the right things, right? So don't be afraid of some of these words, man. Like I think words get a bad rep with humanity because we mess them all up. Like, love. We think love means something. It's like, it's more than what you feel in your stomach.
Yeah.
It's more than just that. It's not just that. It's deeper. It's messy. Believe it or not. So with that said, I'm going to turn it over to your hubby, your partner in crime, who would drop a dime. Anyway, listen.
Man,
you like that? That was fun.
Cute.
He'll drop everything on a dime for you. I'm just saying, I'm trying to give my friend, he loved you. He told me. Anyway, so with that said, and we're seeing similar things in the same what we do.
Sure.
What are you seeing, and then how are you? Because I'm gonna turn on you first. I'm gonna go back to Miss Casey. What are you doing to make sure your energy is being refueled, or you're tapping into the right things?
Yeah, that's for me. Parents, kids, students, everybody. It's so, I thought what Casey said was amazing because we kind of have that, well, of course we're embodied.
Yeah.
Of course it's connected, but we often one of the biggest traps in this life is to live like every part of ourselves are separate from one another.
Yep.
And I think that leads to if it's holistic health, then it's holistic health.
Yeah.
But if it's multifaceted, compartmentalized toxicity, it's going to be holistic. I mean, it's going to bleed into every area.
Yeah.
So I think I'm seeing, too, in our world, pastorally, change beckons change. And I think you have this moment in time, this cultural moment where it's the pandemic and all the other things we've said, I never thought I'd see that in our lifetime on top of each other. Somebody told me this week, friends, they said, man, I am exhausted from hearing every other week we just live through history again.
It's exhausting.
And
it's super exhausting.
Like this on a team. On a team, when one person leaves, everybody else that's there at least thinks, was it time for me to leave?
Yeah, isn't that funny? It's like a domino effect, dude.
Change beckons change,
Yeah.
and it makes you question these things. So I think even from a church perspective, a societal perspective, an individual perspective, everybody is going through this immense amount of change. And whether they're conscious of it or not, asking in which ways do I need to change? What does this mean for me, and how do I adjust? And I think for me, who's also asking that, right? That's not a point finger. For me, I'm like, man, I think I had a point this middle of this summer where I said, nobody is ever going to give me permission to be me. Nobody's ever going to give Brannon permission to preach and rap and make candles and write children's stories.
100%.
Nobody's going to say, you know what, Brannon, just go for all of it.
Yeah.
But I have to sit back and say, a great piece of advice I got, how I'm trying to find health in this season as I'm asking these questions. One of my mentors once told me, if you work a lot with your mind, you should learn to rest with your hands.
Yep.
And then he said, if you work a lot with your hands, you should learn to rest with your mind.
That's good.
So depending on how my week goes, as somebody that does the things I just laid out, that changes how I rest that week. If it has been mentally taxing, I will go and melt 4 pounds of all natural organic soy wax,
which you can get in the link below.
Which you can get at Shortt. And look, I'm gonna sit there. I might have come up in the cut, but I'm gonna sit there in an apron. I'm gonna make 15 candles because that breathes life into me.
I will tell you what, and no joke, and there is no shame in this family, homegirl. But what I'm saying is, I'm gonna help support that. If you're out there and maybe a mental break or something, and you're out there and you go, you know what, Pastor G, sometimes lighting a candle reminds me of the Spirit of God being around, or the scent of it helps me. We're going to buy a few of your candles. We're going to give them away to you. So if you're out there, check this out. In the link right now, this wasn't planned. This is how we do things. It's fun. Okay, no. Tell you what right now. If you're out there going, yo, Pastor G, I would love one of the Shortt candles. This is dope. Go ahead and throw your name in there in the hat. We're gonna give some away, all right? And remember, we gave you love this week too, so don't act like you didn't get a beanie or a shirt. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Candles too. Oh, we got some coffee delivered. Okay.
Yes.
Round 2, because Pastor G loves his coffee. Okay. All right.
And this is from Temple, right?
This is from Temple.
Right here, Temple. Shout out
Temple.
to you.
And round 1 was Camellia. So Sacktown represent Temple and Community today. That's what it's all about. Yes. Please get your straw in there. And I want to throw this out there while you're doing that, real tip, Brannon. you pointed out something that, and actually you said these words, Casey, which is so cool because I don't even know if you know that our current series is called Rhythms. So we're actually going through developing and acknowledging unhealthy rhythms and addressing unhealthy rhythms and establishing healthy rhythms so that 2020, 2021 doesn't define us. It's just a moment in time that we have to endure. Or get better and be stronger. I think in our urban context, right, family, is we want to be the superhero and we think being great at something is organic. Like if I just wait, I'll be great. It's like, no, you got to be intentional with who you surround yourself with. You got to be intentional and fight for your time with God. Like when you're not feeling it and you don't want to read, grab the book and read. It's his love letter to you. And you said something so it's so clear and so easy, but it's so hard for us as humans. Like, ask ourselves the question. I think we're really good at finding problems of the world and going, well, at least I'm not that yet. And you're saying, am I feeling right? Am I thinking right? Yeah. Like where's my energy going? Like, did I even brush my teeth for the last few days? Am I taking a shower? Like all those things we think are basic, but it's like, well, if I'm not healthy, my energy's tapped. I don't feel like doing anything. Yeah. So at coffee break, we're back in, but I just wanted you guys to know, like, this is good stuff. So write this stuff down, write questions down. We're going to continue this. Back to you, Brannon. Sorry.
No, I think when I'm trying to find this season, I said this with our staff many times, is this season is holding unbelievable disappointment in one hand.
Yeah.
Broken dreams.
Yeah.
Like,
yep.
I have said this past year for me, I have had acutely more tragic years. Mm-hmm. But there's been parts this year that felt like the emptiest year of my life.
Sure.
And then in the other hand, I'm holding, not as a way to escape that or pretend it's not happening, but in the other hand, I'm holding long walks with my dog.
Yeah.
I'm holding more conversations I've ever got to have with Casey.
Mm-hmm.
I'm holding great books I read this year I've never read. I think the truth is when trying to find that rhythm and health and honesty with God, I taught Nehemiah a couple weekends ago talking about how honesty is actually what opens the door.
100%.
The king looks at him and says, "Why do you look so sad?" If he was like a westernized American, he may have been like, nah, honestly,
I'm good,
bro. How are
I'm
you?
good, I'm just chilling.
And he doesn't. He actually says, "Why should my face not be sad while all this is happening?"
Yeah.
And then the king goes, "Okay, I'll support what you're doing."
Yeah.
Like it changes
authentic.
That honesty.
Yes, the
and
honesty.
I think like
yeah.
you've got to hold in both hands the great disappointment, the great pain, and then the little moments that maybe, as Lewis would have said, like you were surprised by joy, not denying the reality of either, but opening both and holding both of those to God. And the final thing I'll say on my own staying healthy and for anybody else, Genesis, the idea of Sabbath, the idea of worship, a lot in the Old Testament in particular is rooted in the idea of delight.
Yeah.
My basic encouragement for whoever you are out there is do the things that draws your soul to wonder and delight in something.
Yes.
If it's something like being blown away that somehow scent can meet wax at 195 degrees and molecularly combined.
Being honest, bro.
Delight in that.
100%.
If it's hip hop and the way that your synapses fire with lyrics on beats, if it's
rock and roll, Brannon, if it's rock and roll, bro.
Rock and roll, Gil. If it's whatever it is, if it's those long walks, I would say in this season, if you're attempting to find health, make rhythmic the things that you delight in.
Beautiful. Well said, brother. Thank you so much. And another word not to be tripped up on, family, is delight. I think happiness gets a bad rep because I think in our Christian world, we say, well, it's not just about being happy. Well, like, don't be so mean when you say it then. You know, where's your joy when you're talking about me not being happy? Like, if it makes you happy, yeah.
You say happy so angry.
I know. And like, it's like, dude, it's like, what happiness are you talking about?
Okay.
and when, and that's why what Brannon was saying is what you delight in. Look, he's not saying like it's bad to feel good when you're doing something that makes you feel better and it's healthy for you. Yeah. But look, if we're honest, family, like we are, because this is how we get down in Midtown, not everything that you think is delightful is healthy. That's not what Brandon's saying either. No. He's going, look, guys, the things that you should delight in should draw you closer to God, not farther from him. So don't be afraid of the word happy. Don't get it twisted. Yeah. No, embrace the things, the small things. I like how it's literally the small things. All right. Like it's for me not getting too busy and wrestling with my kids. And now there's like 900 of them in my house. All right. Yeah. You're welcome, Stacy, I guess. But like sometimes it's putting stuff down and letting them wrestle me and beat me up. Yeah. Or it's maybe just watching dinosaurs with Bronx. And, you know, and last night it was, it was getting a bearded dragon, and our family came together and we
oh
yeah, dude, I'm a reptile nerd. Real talk, I really am.
What's his name?
Okay, so they're working on it because it's still young enough to be a male or female, but we're looking at it's a red yellow bearded dragon, so it could be red or yellow as it grows up. So they're looking at Blaze, which I was like, Rocco, that's pretty hard, that could be both, right? That could be cool. I think Stacy said one the other night. Oh man, I'm sorry, babe, I'll remember. But Blaze is one of them.
Stacy said something. I completely forgot what it was.
I mean, I wasn't listening, but she was like all mad, like, why aren't you listening? I was like, I don't know, I wasn't paying attention. Just kidding. It was a cool name, Stacy. Type it in the chat for the love, Stacy. You're on here, I know.
Yeah, throw it in.
Anyway, we got a bearded dragon, and it was what people are like, why would you do that right now? I go, because there's something about when it takes a family to care for something, it helps us look at what matters most.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you enjoy it. Like, it's a cool lizard. It's cool learning about animals, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, from us to you now. So Miss Casey, in what you're seeing and what the experience you have, like Brannon shared about the different things you've seen in your journey or experienced or aided to in your journey, all that, your narrative. What are you doing right now to stay healthy? Because like our jobs sometimes are our identity. And it's hard to take those hats off sometimes.
No doubt.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so
doubt.
what are you doing? What are some of your rhythms? Like, let's share with our family. What are some of your rhythms in this season and in your job? How you're going, no, I need to stay healthy too.
Thank you for asking that, Gil. I think for me, one of the things that I primarily do is I actually practice a check-in with myself as a part of my prayer life about once a week. Sometimes.
Take notes.
Yeah, write this down.
You got this.
Okay.
Is the best advice you're going to get this month.
And share it with your friends and family. You know what I'm saying?
About that, y'all.
Oh, come on.
No, it's amazing. Tell them.
Do your thing.
Tell them about the self-check-in. It's amazing.
So I don't know if any of you guys have ever had this experience, but sometimes we don't realize how much pain we're carrying or how much stress or exhaustion until we're crashing and burning. And then you hit the ground, you've crashed and burned, and then that's your moment to sit back and reflect and be like, oh, wait, like what were the warning signs? So because I am one of those people who has crashed and burned a couple times now, some of the things that I worked on with my therapist in years past is what are my personal warning signs? And some of the ways that you can identify that is through self-reflection and journaling or asking your family members. Like families, this is something you could talk about together. Like what are each of your warning signs when you're taking on too much stress, when you're not caring for yourself? When you're starting to have trouble coping with really intense emotions, how do you know? What are the behaviors or the thoughts? Do people isolate or do they lash out? And then when people act in that way, rather than getting angry with one another, we can hold compassion for one another and practice some more self-care. So that's one thing that I do for myself. I check in with myself by journaling. I've checked in with myself between me and my husband. I do it in my prayer life. And then based on that, I kind of create a plan for like stewarding my mind, body, and soul to refuel myself so that I'm not pouring out from an empty place. And I think the last thing that I would say, and I would add this to the first thing that I said as well, is for me, but also for others of you out there, if you are struggling with self-care and you're noticing the things that I love to do, I just don't love to do anymore. It's like I can't do it. When I care for myself, I feel like it's impossible. It's hard for me to do the things that I used to do. I just want to say to you that it's not your fault. And if you are experiencing some of those key symptoms that are related to depression, depression is not a character flaw. It is not a spiritual disability. It is not a personal failure.
Look at that.
Depression is just, it's a medical condition like breaking your leg or anything else that would need healing and help. And so if you're noticing, I'm trying to practice this self-care, I'm trying to check in with myself, and it's not working, it's not enough, and this is impacting multiple areas of my life, then I would encourage you to seek professional help. I know that's something that I've done for myself as a therapist and as someone who has gone to therapy myself.
Right.
I believe in it, and we're better together. There's nothing wrong with asking for
Look
help.
at, you know what? This is only,
I'm gonna hit the
no,
table.
no, don't, because I'm trying not to, and you're gonna like influence me.
Okay.
I almost did it and I stopped. So much gold there. I think that we're gonna need to do another conversation on just that. I think, in fact, and I'm being serious, like, because I think our family members, us included, when we're trying to find those rhythms for our health, we're still in that mode of comparison. And it's like, dude, do what you need to do to get healthy, right? And I feel like I need to say this. So parents out there, in our urban context, it's out of the urban context. Like, it's crazy to think that we would actually go, hey, let's make our home healthy and maybe do the things where other families look at us and say maybe they're weird. If you're healthy and you're weird and you're looked at as weird, be weird. Because if your home is the place where your students and your spouses need to feel and dwell in that delight and in that health and in that hope, man, you do whatever it takes. I don't care if you have fathers out there. If you got to dress up and put a towel around your head and a sheet blanket around you and you're going to pose as Superman outside in your lawn, do it. Because if your neighbors think you're crazy because you're trying to bring health into your home, do it. Moms, listen. Please, please, please communicate with your spouses about what it is you're needing and you modeling that too. Like our students are watching, students out there. Maybe God's prompting you right now to have that conversation with mom and dad that might feel awkward because your friends might think it's kind of dorky to share that you're not healthy and you're not feeling okay. You need to do that. I'm praying for the courage and boldness for you to go to mom and dad and say, hey, mom, dad, my soul's heavy.
Yeah.
The weight's too much. I don't feel right. I'm carrying weight and I don't understand. Like, man, you don't even have to know what you're like necessarily what you're feeling, right? I think we often go like, well, I can't put my words proper right. It's like, no, share what's going on. Like, it's messy. Is it not messy?
It's messy.
And so I didn't want to cut you off there, bro. I just felt like I needed to say it to our families. Like, that's gonna be where we will remain healthy. And if it looks weird to the world, well, of course it's gonna look weird because we value health.
Absolutely.
And not just quick fixes. We value health and longevity. So what were we gonna say, my man? Sorry.
I think what you just said is me and Casey say a lot that part of our call mutually together as we operate in such different worlds, but our call mutually together is bridge building and erasing stigma.
Absolutely.
And I think what Casey just said was huge. And I think we need to hear that again because I think at times when Casey says no, there's times, listen, chemistry and character are not equated
They're
things.
not equated things.
If chemistry has gone off, if there is something that has happened like any other illness does, that is not a character flaw. And I'm glad you said in a church context, not because I'm not trying to make a sweeping generalization that every church believes
We hear you.
But often that conversation is dealt with so poorly.
Yes. Or not addressed at all.
Or not at all, which is poor, which is horrible.
Which is
right?
horrible.
Like,
yeah.
But the idea that like because you struggle in this way doesn't mean it's because you don't have enough faith. Doesn't mean because it's a spiritual like disability. It's not any of this stuff. It's not I'm closer to God or you're closer to God because one of us struggles differently. Mental health being like any other type of health. That it has to be stewarded. You have to do it. Gil nailed it. I don't have anything else to say on that.
No,
you
you
need
guys
to
are
do
killing
whatever it takes to be healthy. And it is like let's also not I don't want you to think looking at this table. Everyone at this table too struggles with mental health.
Amen.
I remember the first time I went through a season of depression, and it was about for me. Maybe you can relate. It was about 7 months, but I wasn't sure I'd ever been there before, and I remember not knowing what to do. So I was sitting in my room. Our whole small group's downstairs. I'm sitting in my room. I took a picture of myself in the mirror. And I put my notes in my little Evernote. Is this what depression looks like? And I went to Casey and I said, I think I'm off. And it took me saying it because, man, I'm telling you, I told her, then I told 3 of my guys, and then that's when I started to move forward, go on my own sort of counsel, like my own journey for that healing. But I just want to make that clear.
It's good, man.
That depression in particular, the stats on how many of us experience depression, you shouldn't feel any shame over feeling depression.
It's every human, first of all.
No doubt.
Like, real talk. Like,
no doubt.
It's literally every human, but
I don't mean to say that we all have the same journey. I just mean to say the stigma should be erased.
Yeah.
Like it should not be something that, especially by the people that live like underneath an upside down kingdom of God.
Yeah.
That should not be the erasing of the stigma should be there. I'm glad you said what you said.
Woo, man. You know what, family? Like, I could do this all day with you. First of all, because I love it. Second of all, because it's good and it's healing for me. I just have a couple things before I close out with our family here. The word is always a powerful tool and bridge maker to us and God. And one of the first steps, though, so that we can hear what God is saying is what they both said very well. And that is being honest with self. And I want to paint this really quick, a 10-second version of this, and we can get into another day. a lot of us are afraid of doing that because we feel like God wouldn't accept what our honest self is. But here's what's crazy. When you look into the mirror, you are made in Christ's image. He is in that process of you being honest with yourself. You're not, I got to get honest with myself and then go to God. No, being honest with yourself is a very healthy step to let God start his work in you. And I think that's a crazy stigma that we have to get right before we can get God. And he's like, nope, I'm right here in it with you. Yeah. We are all broken. We are all discouraged at times. We are anxious. Hence all the words that the Bible points to about what we need is like to counter that. And that's with God, not with things, right? Okay. So one of the scriptures that pops out to me is Psalms 55:22. And it says, cast your cares on the Lord and he will sustain you. He will never let the righteous be shaken. What the shaken means there, it doesn't mean we're never going to have to worry about things in a sense that, oh no, I'm worried. I guess I'm not close to God, or I'm not Christian, or I'm disabled now because I'm admitting I'm broken in certain ways. That's not what it's saying. Is at the end of the day, God will sustain you. God's got you no matter where you're at. Yeah. And let him pick up the pieces. I think too many of us try to be our own healers. I think too many of us are afraid to be honest with ourselves. And what that really doesn't let God do is care for you and love you. And that's what he wants to do. I know there's a lot more depth to that we can break down another day, but I just felt tapping into some of the word today. So if you're out there and you're saying, Pastor G, I'm struggling, Brannon, Casey, I'm struggling. Throw your name in the chat. We'd love to connect with you. Casting your cares means anything that you care about or anything that's you're carrying, to God. He's not going to be offended. He's not intimidated by our sin or death itself. He's got time for you. It's all good. Cast your cares on him, and he will sustain you. Guys, he will get us through this. I'm excited because I know some of y'all who are watching right now are going to rise from the ashes of all this, and you are the future leaders, future church now. You are the brothers and sisters that are going to carry the torch so that others may find healing, help, hope, and health. We love you guys so much. Thank you so much. Drop in the chat, fill out the form. How about Casey and Brent? Will you guys be open that if individuals wanted to do a Zoom or two with you guys and us, would that be cool? You open to that?
Absolutely, yeah.
All right. We love that. We're going to have another conversation with these awesome people, the Shorts. Let's be praying for each other. We love you guys. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, the like, and that bell, bing, because we don't want you just to watch content. We want you to get connected, stay connected in our community, ladies and gentlemen.
Absolutely.
Midtown Youth Fam, gang, gang, gang. What is up? Don't get me started. Okay, it's kind of funky like someone just farted. Anyway. It's a joke we like to have here. Have fun. Anyway, we love you guys. Midtown Youth. We will see you Wednesday, 8 p.m. Continue our rhythm series. Peace out.